Okay, now, real quick, I'm very curious about your ayahuasca experience. So I'm going to jump to the floating on psychedelics thing because I feel like you've probably done that.
I have.
What have you used and how is that?
So preface, if you're coming to Capital Floats, you sign the waiver and there's no substances in the tank.
Oh, okay.
Those are the rules.
Well, you don't know if you have substances in before you go, right?
Wink, wink. And, I've done a number of them. I've done, mushrooms have been in there. To be the most, eating cannabis to me is the most intense that's actually in there. Mushrooms are interesting, but I feel like mushrooms are a great, the external inputs are fun with mushrooms. It's kind of to, out in nature to kind of engage with what's happening around you, where cannabis just, when eaten with intention and actually eaten where it's processed differently, it can be, you want an experience, you mix that with the float tank, woo, you get your heart rate up.
My worst highs have been from eating cannabis. It's just
fuck that.
There was one
basically
time,
eating what, THC?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, there was one time that Screamo Rock was playing in my head for hours, narrating my every action. I was with my ex, and it's like, you are going down a bad path, and it was just playing over and over. And
They were just telling you something.
It was bad, dude.
How did it end?
It took a long time because I was a rookie. I made the mistake. This is my second time trying edibles. So I ate it, and after 2 hours, I felt nothing. So I was like, I'm 250. Maybe
your body weight's pretty irrelevant when it comes to that shit. You know what I mean?
I took a bit more, and 15 minutes later, I felt it. 15 minutes later, I felt it. I felt the first dose, and then the second dose hit me, so I was fucked for 6 hours.
And it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, it was just a wave.
Yeah,
it was tough.
I had that same experience. Same rookie. I was smoking weed and playing basketball, so I thought I knew it. That was my thing. I was really into that. And then my stoner friends made these brownies, and I was just I'm gonna eat that and go to the gym. And they're like, are you sure? And I ate that, and I was fully in, tapped out, accepted I was dying, gave the whole, wouldn't even call my parents because I was too embarrassed. Yeah. But I was I love you guys, pulled the blanket over my head, and I woke up. But I mean, it feels like everyone has that eating cannabis story.
Yeah, we just had a guy on the podcast named Chris Jones, and he's pretty damn well built and stuff. And somebody gave him some LSD tabs, and he was like, they're tiny little things. He's like, I'm pretty jacked, so I figured I'll take a couple of them.
Famous last words.
Yeah. Life altering. He ended up going to his girlfriend, and when he was not still high, but he ended up going to his girlfriend and telling her that he cheated on her, and it was just turned his life around, actually. But
it's incredible.
Amazing that he was just they're tiny. What's it going to do to me? I guess a lot, right?
Humbled. It's very humbling.
Yeah. The Ayahuasca trip you said you took in 2013. How was that? Because that's something that a lot of people are doing. And was it life-changing for you, life-altering, or was it just?
It was extremely transformative.
Really?
Yeah. It was. And psychedelics have been it's a key tool that I use consistently throughout my life. And ayahuasca, that was my first time doing it, and it was. I knew no one at the time. I think I heard Aubrey Marcus on Joe Rogan's podcast talk about it. I was like, what the fuck is this? I am curious, and kind of did some research and went down, and, I thought I was going to go, that was when I started floating. I had this concept to open the float center, and I thought I was going to go down there and it was going to tell me I had this concept of what psychedelics were. It's it's going to tell me to quit my job. And it was I got down there and it was just so dude, you got other work to do. And it was just such a journey inside of myself and transforming relationships with my parents and just my viewpoint of who I am in the world. And it was it's a radical, I call it a medicine, and it's used with intention and in the right space. It's a powerful thing.
Power Project family, how's it going? I want to tell you guys about the legendary Tasty Pastry. And we've talked about Ben & Jerry's and snacks and stuff on the podcast, but those can go against your goals. They can be too calorically dense, and they can really make you crave more bad foods. But the crazy thing about the legendary Tasty Pastry is that it's 20 grams of protein and 5 grams of net carbs and 180 calories. And they taste amazing. You guys need to check them out. They have tons of flavors. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yeah, and the other thing, they passed the kid test. Kids love these things as well. Head over to eatlegendary.com and at checkout, enter promo code POWERPROJECT to save 20% off all the tasty pastries, all the nut butters, all the almonds, everything. Again, eatlegendary.com. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
What are your thoughts on, do you think that people need to be like pushed into a corner and have some sort of almost like near-death experience or some sort of life-altering event or situation, or they need something like psychedelics to end up with these like epiphanies? Like, it's really hard to find them otherwise. Like if you run or if you lift, like if you exercise, some people mountain climb, like people do these different things and they find different things. Nsima is really big into jiu-jitsu, and it's been something that has transformed his life. Some people will power lift and stuff like that. Do you think that people they have to have these experiences in some way to really truly see like what they really are?
I think being challenged is essential in the journey, and psychedelics are, to me, a place that I get to go get challenged in my mind, in my body. So it's like that's a place to me. Getting in the cold plunge is a challenge. It's a thing I can do every day. I think being in my accident was a challenge. Like, so it's like the challenge is never like what we want. It's like hard in the moment. It is the thing that builds the character, and it just, to me, that's been a truth throughout life. And so it varies to each person of what we need at that moment and what, ideally, especially like psychedelics, it's like, don't go chase that, like want to do that, like be intentional about it, because it is an extremely powerful thing. But, I think, challenge creates resilience and creates character. And that's just, it's kind of human 101.
Yeah, it makes me I just think about stuff like that often, because I'm like, I don't know how else you could be shown these things unless you fucked up really bad, or you get fucked up really bad by doing some of these experiences. And sometimes it is just challenging yourself for some people. We know some really high level people that just have done some really wild stuff where they pushed themselves so hard that they got themselves to this breaking point where the things that they love to do, they love to do them so much that they've broken bones, they've torn muscles, they've cried over it, those kinds of things. And I think it's just kind of hard to really understand who you truly are to other people, how you're viewed. Like, it's hard to examine all that. Someone could tell you a lot of these things, and you can listen to a lot of great philosophers and research a lot of information, but it's like hard to have a real mirror image of yourself unless you've like dragged yourself through something.
And it takes the self-awareness to know what's needed at that time. Like, it might not be to go down to the jungle and drink ayahuasca. It's like, it might just actually be to get in a float tank or do something a little more calm. And I think for me, it's what's been important. What I've realized is I have to bake in the challenging things, or life's going to bring me the big challenge. And that is a lot shittier sometimes, where it's like, if I wasn't doing the subtle things in my life, and this still happens, I have, total blind spots there but doing the cold plunge every day, doing the workouts, having the hard conversation with my girlfriend, like doing those things consistently. It's hard in those moments, but those micro challenges are a lot less challenging than like, oh, you got cancer, or something you kind of, however that can happen, or something in life that presents itself that's like, I slacked there and something happened.
So, Power Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.